right, everybody. Thank you for jumping on our Tri-State Trends podcast. I got my man Garrett Lamb of FFL Ascent, who is out there helping a bunch of families, and we wanted to get him on here to talk about some of the things he's doing to have success. How you doing, my man?
Doing good, Mark. Appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Well, we're excited to have you. Sean said great things, and we wanted to certainly get you on. I'm watching the numbers, and I'm saying this. You got a lot of things, good things going on. So we wanted to highlight that and kind of go through some of the things you're doing to have success. Prior to doing that, I just wanted you to give us a little bit of a backdrop, where you're coming from, how you found Family First Life.
Sure. So I was first introduced to the company. I actually was a recruiter for Sean for about 6 to 8 months. I was good friends with Caleb Amaros and just gotten married and was looking for a career change. And Caleb said, "Hey, how about you come on and do recruiting for me and you'll recruit for Sean." So that's how I was introduced to the company. And then fast forward about a year later, I had went away from recruiting and was full-time doing some ministry work. And some things ended very quickly, kind of abruptly and out of my control. And my back was against the wall. I had gotten my license in 2021. And then fast forward a year later was the first time I actually used my license. But kind of back was against the wall and needed to make something happen. And that's how I jumped full into it.
Wow. It's funny what we can do when our backs against the wall.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how long ago was this?
So I came in part-time, doing some agent work in July of 2022. And then pretty much October 1st, I was thrown into the fire full-time. So since then, I've been running full-time, and it's been definitely a journey for sure.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, you started off as a recruiter, so you got a chance to see the vision, see everything. What was something that you were seeing as a recruiter that made you more interested in the opportunity?
Yeah. Well, definitely as a recruiter, I was plugged into the Slack channels, Facebook pages, and I saw what everybody else was doing. So I definitely believed in the model. I had no prior sales experience whatsoever. So I think it was the initial jump was a little bit difficult, kind of just believing that I could do it, and stepping out of my comfort zone. But really when I saw what people could do just by working hard, I said, well, if they can do it, I can do it. I would see people that maybe have a little less personality, maybe don't have as much talent per se, but they were hard workers and grinders and they were killing it, in the field. So seeing that from the recruiting side, believing in the business model, I think really helped me in jumping in full time and knowing that I could do something with it.
Got it. How'd you fare as a recruiter?
I did pretty well. I liked it.
Nice.
Caleb liked me and I liked him, so we worked well together.
That's awesome. Now you got to see the business from a recruiting standpoint, and you started selling. What was that decision like to kind of take the plunge, and then what was the initial process like for you?
Yeah. So as I said, I was about 3 weeks away from having my first child, me and my wife, and getting ready to have a baby boy. And one day walked into work and they said, "You're done. You're done at your job." Really threw me off kilter. It wasn't because of work ethic or anything like that. Said just personalities weren't clashing together. Right. So jumping in full time I didn't really have another option. Like I said, I kind of had my license in my back pocket. So I never used it, but I was like, look, I know Sean, I know Caleb, I know Matt Borsch, I know Gabe Erickson, I know these guys, and some of them have different talents, but I know that all of them work hard, and if they can get that done, I can get it done. And when I first jumped in, it was rough, the first couple of weeks. Mark, I had experience on the phones, and relatively, I did pretty well my first week. I think my first week I set, 20 is like 25, 26 appointments. But out of those, I'd get in the home, someone would give me, hey, I'm not really interested, or that doesn't, they give me I don't have the money for that. I'd be like, okay, all right, see you later. I'd just go along with it.
Mhm.
Um, but that took a lot of work, trying to get better at not only being in the home, but also what I'm saying on the phone. So it was definitely a work in progress for sure.
No doubt. So, what did you do to battle the thoughts in your mind, stay with it, and overcome?
Sure. Well, I knew I had a good mentor in Sean. Uh, I reached out to Sean quite a bit, just asking different questions. I'd get in the home, whether it be someone giving me one of those rebuttals or not really even excuses. They're just kind of trying to avoid making the sale and they just need somebody to guide them. And Sean really breaking down the process and what that looked like. From a mindset point, I've always been somebody, I grew up, my parents taught me to work hard. So if I knew I put in the work, I could get it done, but I felt like I was just spinning my wheels. And finally, Sean sat me down and he's like, hey, man, it becomes a numbers game. You just got to break down your numbers. And he said, sales are always going to be unpredictable. But he's like, when you know your numbers,
Mm,
he said, you can really figure out what you can and can't do.
that's
Right.
awesome.
So I did that and started breaking down my numbers. And that's when my mindset began to change. Whereas I'm like, man, I just got 5 no's in a row. Man, I stink at this. I can't do this. When, I started to know my numbers and I said, all right, the field owes me one now,
Yeah, I love it. That's
and I
really
know,
strong.
my abilities. So that's when my mindset really started to change.
That's really good, man. That's so good. You know, that changes everything for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I love the way you said that. That was really powerful. And now, when you think about your numbers, what are you investing on average a week in leads? What are you typically buying? And then,
Yeah,
how many appointments are you typically running a week?
sure. So when I first started, I was strictly internet leads. I do like 1 month old, 3 month old, and I was only putting in maybe 5 to 800 a week. Right now, I'm running a full time schedule. I'm averaging about 14 to 1500 a week, and that's through uh, Facebook leads mostly. If I'm short a little bit, I'll throw some internet leads in there, but it's mainly through a couple different vendors that I have. I have 3 different vendors that I get some Facebook leads, and I will just filter through those different counties, kind of go through, and mix it up a little bit. So I'm not just in one field, but going different counties, different vendors, but getting those fresh Facebook leads. And that's really what I'm working right now.
Nice. Now, is that more Facebook final expense, Facebook general life?
Yeah, so I'm running strictly final expense right now.
I love it.
Um, haven't really run a lot of home, like mortgage protection. I've run a few, but I feel like final expense has really been my bread and butter, and that's what I've been going with. So
Talk to us a little about the mindset of the final expense client and how you learn to successfully help them get life insurance.
sure. So I guess everybody's experience is probably gonna be a little bit different, but I would say for me, a lot of people I think they know that they need it, right? I don't really have to sell them the concept of life insurance, final expense insurance, but walking them through that process. These people are most times 60, 70 years old, and they've waited this long to put something in place. And so walking them through that is more of, look, we need to stop thinking about this and get this done now. I've had clients over the last couple of months, that have passed away. And so I don't walk away from a home saying, all right, I'll let you think about it.
Huh.
You need to give me an answer, right? Because this is real and it's real for your family. And so, really, the mindset of walking into a family and sitting down with these older people is getting them to realize, look, life is not guaranteed. Your days are not guaranteed, whether you're young or you're old. And right now, your family would have nothing. And so, start playing the factor of, look, this is important for your family, right? This is called life insurance, but really, what it is, it's not for you; it's for your family. so they can have something when you're gone and they don't have to worry about money. Something I say to everybody, Mark, I think this has really helped me, is I say, look, money doesn't fix anything, nothing. You can have a terrible marriage, you can have terrible relationships. Money won't fix that. But in this very specific time that you're going to have, where this is going to be the worst week of people's lives, is when they lose their mom, they lose their dad, they lose their sister, brother, so on and so forth. It's going to be the worst week of their lives. And money doesn't fix that you're gone, but it does give a sense of security. And that's something that they don't need to worry about, is that they're already going to be grieving. The last thing they need to worry about is, how am I going to figure this out and bury my loved one, and how am I going to pay my own bills? And so that's something I feel like really opens people up eyes to, man, they just look at the dollar amount when there's a
Right.
lot more value than just getting $10,000 or $15,000. It's their family that they're really giving the value to.
That's awesome. And that's so true. That's what we do, and why it's so important, and the way you say it, it does make us all fall in love with this business. The fact that, yes, we can make money, but we're really helping people. You're,
Right.
you're really helping people. What would you say is one of the biggest objections you get from the senior market?
I would definitely say the biggest excuse that I get, objection, would be, I can't afford it.
Mhm.
A lot of the people I'm talking to, they're on Social Security, they're on a fixed income. They're in this position where they're trying to find some final expense coverage because they didn't plan, other parts of their life before this point. So that would definitely be the biggest objection that I get. But just overcoming that in the beginning, I had no idea. I see somebody who has Social Security, they're making $1,200 a month, and I'm like, man, that's not a lot of money.
Mhm.
And I would walk out of the home and be like, yeah, they can't afford it.
That's good.
But when you start to break things down, this is something I learned from just listening to Matt Borsch, and just breaking every single thing down in the home. And then when they say they can't afford it, you already know what they can and can't afford. And so there's not really an excuse at that point. You just go back and reiterate, hey, you told me exactly what you're paying for these things, and I know what you can and can't afford. It's a matter of whether you want to provide this for your family or not.
Yeah,
That's the yes or no.
that's a fact. Now, when you think about the seniors, I always think about who budgets better than a senior citizen. Like, they know exactly what they can and can't afford.
Right.
If you're on a fixed income, you know how to stretch a dollar. You know what you're budgeting and what you
Yeah.
have left. So you know what you can and you can't afford. There's no doubt about it. So I don't ever let anyone tell me that. That's nonsense.
Right.
Sheer nonsense. Because you're the best budgeter I ever met in my life, Mary. You know what I'm saying? And I'm
Yeah.
not, and I love the final expense market. Garrett, I'm like you, I was all in. I loved final expense.
Mm.
And if you ask me, would I prefer mortgage or final all day. I just
Right.
really loved that client, loved the psychology of the client, and really enjoyed what the odds were, how much they knew they needed it, and just where that could go. So fantastic stuff. If you could give a parting shot to an agent out there listening to you, what would you say?
I would definitely say that, this opportunity, whenever you look at a job, what I would say all the time in recruiting is, what we want to know is the dollar amount. How much am I gonna make? Right. That's why we have jobs. But this isn't only just something that can help you financially. It's definitely helped me out in a time where my back was against the wall. But for somebody who is getting into this business, wondering if they want to step into this business, it's just not just an opportunity where you can make money, but you can help people, and you can be an influential part in their life. As I said, Mark, what really changed my mindset is when I had my first death claim, right, and that family needed somebody to give them some clarity on what was going on, and that's where we can step in and help. And I have a long way to go in this business. I don't have all the answers. I'm far from it. I hardly even know what I'm doing at this point. Um, but I do know that there is a financial aspect where I can help my family, and secondly, help other people, and that when they are in that hardest part of their life, their family's taken care of. Yeah. And I can have a small part in helping doing that.
Unbelievable take. I appreciate you, man. Tri-State trending in the booth with your boy Mark Mead, Garrett Lamb, crushing it. Listen, man, I want to see big things, from now to the end of the year with you. You getting that red jacket this year?
That's the plan.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Thank you for sharing with us, Trendon. I appreciate you, brother, and I'm looking forward to seeing what 2023 has in store for you. God bless.